Hey everyone, if you haven't played the Stanley Parable, this video is not gonna make a whole lot of sense. And if you have, you might be thinking to yourself, maybe I clicked a bit too hard on this one. Maybe it's a bit of a stretch, but I can tell you that, as the narrator said,
the narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny? I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art.
Stanley Parable is trying to be a serious work of art, so I think some of the undertones and, philosophical stuff is actually real commentary of the writer trying to tell us something. So here's something I want you to think about. And when it comes to the Stanley Parable, every time you start, it's symbolic of a new generation of people. So for example, your children, after that their children. So it's sort of the cycle of life, And so this is very important. I want you to think about this. Every time you start the Stanley Parable, until you reach an ending, you can look at it as a sort of a timeline, sort of a lifespan of a person. And the things you do in that run represent the choices you make in your life. So in a way, the game explicitly a lot of the time mentions how it's about choices. I would like to expand a bit on that and call it it's about the will to power. Nietzsche calls it that, and I think it very clearly represents something in this game, which is about taking control, expressing your will to power, and showing that you can do things is a very strong theme in this game. So for example, this is you can look at The Office and see it as the beginning of the lifetime of a person. For example, if I close the door now, you get to close the door immediately after you begin the game ending, and you can look at it as like someone that starts living and reaches like 15 or 16, the teenage years, and then all of a sudden commits the S word. So that's basically what happens if you listen to it. For example, if it's too much for you, life is too much for you, too much responsibility.
Responsibility? He had never been trained for that.
Yeah.
No. This couldn't go any way except badly.
So
the thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait.
Yeah.
Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will.
So the beginning of the game, it shows that you're pressing the buttons, that you're being told what to do. You can see that as a baby being born, and it just can do whatever it can do, which is just simple things, pressing buttons, for example. And that's the beginning. That's what the beginning of the game symbolizes: being born, basically. That's how I look at it. And keep this in mind; it's going to be very important. So when the responsibilities of life seem too much, you just don't do anything, or just destroy your life, to not have to deal with the responsibilities and the choices. And that's how it happens. That's how the S word happens when you're young. So this is that was very important. So that's how you can think about it. And then we get to the bucket. So there's a lot of symbolism with the bucket. The bucket, shows a lot of religious themes. I'll be telling you. So, in a way, a lifetime in the Stanley Parable is each of the runs that you do. And in this run, which is how you get to the freedom ending, Stanley just listens and believes all the information that is given. Listen.
Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
So Stanley, in this ending, which if you keep listening to what the narrator is telling you and doing what he's telling you to do and believing whatever he says, in a way that symbolizes someone that in their life they don't make decisions, they don't express their will in any way, they just listen to others and do what others tell them to do.
Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
This is one of the more obvious things about the Stanley Parable. The freedom ending is a very obviously, it has a specific meaning. So, yeah, we're gonna get to that one when we get to it.
But of course, yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
So a lot of people rightly point this out, that in the freedom ending, basically you listen to everything that everybody says, you believe everything you're told, and all that stuff. And at the end of the freedom ending, the control of the game is taken away from you. You're just looking at a cutscene essentially, and it's called paradoxically, it's called the freedom ending, and that's something I think. I mean, it's not part of the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. It's part of the original, but it is a commentary on Islam. If you don't know Islam, I mean, the word itself, it means to surrender, basically. So that is sort of a representation for people that, for example, Muslims, that surrender themselves to the will of God. So they don't want to, basically, their will doesn't matter. It's like a subcategory of God's will, essentially. So they basically don't do anything. It's like the God's will flows through them in a way. So don't fight me in the comments, by the way. I'm a Muslim, so I'm an expert on the matter. I'm an expert on religion and atheism in general, and on Nietzsche, on anything Nietzsche, basically. But I'm specifically about Islam, I know a bunch. So Islam is basically means surrendering. So this is sort of representing those people that find freedom in surrendering their will, and in a way, in their attempt to have other people control everything in their life and tell them what to do and what to think. That's how they feel like they've achieved freedom. I mean, of course, the game doesn't take sides on any of the subjects it represents. It just uses them as I mean, the same way with Rick and Morty. If you've seen that show, it doesn't say what thinking method is right or wrong. It's just a way to explore these ideas as like a thought experiment. So, in a way, I mean, keep this in mind. We're gonna come back and circle to this once again. But that, in a way, is the religious person's way of expressing their will by not doing anything. So, so what they do, how they express themselves, is by not expressing themselves. And it's sort of paradoxical, but it is something that happens in real life, you know. Some people live their entire life. I mean, we had the Walter White example in Breaking Bad. I mean, he changed. Before he changed, though, he did everything that society asked him to. He was a law-abiding citizen. Like, everything he was told to do, he did, and he believed everything he was told. So here, we reach the mind control facility, and we have a choice. You know, we get to the escape ending. So if you remember, I said that any run is like a lifespan. So in a way, this escape ending is you being born in the office, and you grow up, you make decisions, and all of those decisions are based on what you are told and what you believe to be true based on what people say, without judging for yourself. So in a way, I mean, that's how this ending, in a way, it's like reaching the end of your life, or almost like reaching a very old age, like you're a very old person, and now you want to take control of your life by doing the escape ending, because up to this point you have done everything you've been told. You do everything you've been told, but you know, when you reach an old age, now you want to take control. So this is what the escape ending sort of represents.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
And I mean, I didn't think about this before, but now hearing this, it's that when you reach your old age and you've done everything you've been told, and the narrator is like, the door behind them was not shut. It's like, you don't have to take control over your life. You can still keep on listening to other people and doing what you're told.
Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
That's the key word, willingly. So to exert your will, you want to do something, and that something is something I want to explore in this video. I'll tell you about it in a second. So we drop down into this little machine.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
All right, now, before you die, everything pauses, the machine doesn't kill you, and there's a narrator switch. In a way, this new narrator is Stanley's effort to do something differently. And now imagine this is about someone that has reached a very old age, about to die, and now they want to take control of their life. But the irony is that it is a female narrator, so it's a different person, I guess. But essentially, you're still, still a narrator. So you've changed your perspective. You want to take control of your life, but essentially, the same thing is happening. And an important thing is, when you reach the end of this section, which is called, I don't know what ending this is called, escape ending, I guess. When you reach the end of escape ending, you're returned to this exact same spot with the death machine, essentially. And the you still haven't reached to the point that the machine is killing. So it's like a before you reach this point. And this is very important because what it says is that essentially everything about this ending happens in Stanley's head. Now, there's a lot of proof that says, Stanley is hallucinating. He hallucinates a lot of this stuff. It's like most of it is imaginary. All of Stanley Parable, in a meta way, happens inside Stanley's mind, and in a sort of meta commentary, life in general happens inside our heads. That's something that could be happening. So, but putting that aside, we hear, for example, in the Infinite Hole, we hear a lot of cool shit. There's music, there's all kinds of cool stuff happening. All of a sudden, narrator comes in, try to break our illusion. So he wakes Stanley up, and it seems as though Stanley was just standing there, and as the narrator describes, just out of it. So there is many examples of Stanley is just very imaginative.
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth.
Another example is in the apartment building. Just to push the point here. You don't have to listen to all this. It is strongly alluded to that Stanley is just sitting there in his office still, the moment he was born, basically, but the moment you were born. And it's as if the entire Stanley Parable and everything that happens in it is in his head. It's explicitly mentioned, this part.
So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
And for example, everything that happens with the bucket is, for example, trying to talk, or the bucket, speaks. The bucket has these ideas. All of that as well seems to be in Stanley's head. Another thing is, if you walk around the map, right?
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated, as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Now that is very important, because the narrator says that as if it has already happened. It's something that's done. And the illusion of choice is a huge theme as well. Like, expressing your will is meaningless when, I mean, it's going to be mentioned here, so I'm not going to say it. But what I was saying before I jump to this is that if you walk around and you press your keyboard, you hear the keyboard sound. And if you click, I mean, this game was originally made for PC. And if you click, you still hear the keyboard sound, as if everything you do is still pushing a button on the keyboard. Sound familiar? It's as if you're still in Stanley's office in the beginning and imagining everything. So this is another thing that alludes to the fact that Stanley is just imagining all of this. And so that's like something that's easily
it would be just a few
noticeable
minutes
when
before
going through the
Stanley
game.
would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Now, the reason this is very bleak is that, again, in the timeline thing I told you about, this is how you think when you're old. You know, none of it mattered, you know. And in a way, you can say that this ending resembles an atheist who always listened to what everybody said. I mean, someone that didn't believe in a higher power or God or anything like that. But listened to other people and did what other people told him to do, and still not believing. So it's a good example of that. And when you're old, that's why there's like credits. That's why you see these, computers. You see everything, because as you're old, everything seems like all of life seems like a moment to you. You know, everything is like a very coherent story. You know, as you have made it up in your head, at least. I mean, I'm not sure how much of it is true, but that's why these rooms are so intricate about the things that happened in the past, explaining everything, all the stuff, you know, all the changes that the office, for example, went through. In a way, it's how you grew as a person. That's why this ending is so, you know, what's the word for it? I don't know, there's a word for it, but looking behind. Prospective, or something like that, yeah. What I'm trying to say is that this is important.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
So that's the thing. People that tell us what to do, they themselves want to be free. So in a way, narrator is just another... I mean, again, at the beginning of this video, he said that he's not trying to be funny. He's trying to make a serious work of art. Again, that could be not true, because we know that the narrator is essentially another character.
But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose.
He's not the tailor of the story. He pretends to be, but he's actually himself is an agent of someone else's will. But that's like besides the point. So when I do this, it's gonna go back to the machine, and you hear what it has to say.
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save those two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you.
So here, the narrator says, don't let time choose for you. So this is a very important thing, because there are two outcomes in this ending. One of them is you get crushed by the machine, die, and then you are reborn in the office as Stanley. So the cycle continues, essentially. More people are born, and they're going to do the same thing you did. Another ending is you press pause and you begin the game again, essentially, which also resumes the cycle. So both of them lead to the same thing, meaning that, I mean, the commentary here is that when you reach your old age, it doesn't matter because most of your life has been spent. It doesn't matter that at the end of it you choose to take control and choose for yourself, because already your life has been wasted. Essentially, that's the commentary here. So, the whole pressing pause and beginning the game again, or like quitting the game, is essentially the committing the S word. So it doesn't matter if you're old and you commit S word in an attempt to take control of your life, because if you do that, the cycle is going to continue. Or if you just accept death and just die naturally, the same thing is going to happen again. And when the bucket was released with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, this escape ending was sort of complemented by the existence of the bucket. Now, the bucket itself, it has a lot of religious connotations to it. When you first see the bucket, it sort of resembles, I mean, it's a tool used for, when the game explains it, it's a tool used for reducing stress. So this is something that they do for the patients, for example. Patients that have anxiety, for example, you give them a pink rock and you tell them science has engineered this rock to be the best anxiety-reducing medicine ever created. So you can give the patient the pink rock, and it works. I mean, it's not supposed to work, but the placebo sort of works. And the bucket is introduced as a similar tool to reduce your anxiety. And the way they introduce it is sort of strange, because it's not like, okay, here's a tool. It descends from the ceiling, in a very important, significant way, although it's like a tool. And this is unclear why this happens. Like the first time the player sees it, it's like, okay, it's a bucket. Why? What's the significance? But that's why, that's a technique that, for example, it's used to add more placebo.
It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. Come on, give it a try.
If it's slowly lowering from the ceiling, and it has like a glass ceiling that's protecting it, or that kind of stuff, it seems more important. So a few tricks are used to make it seem important, and this is, sound familiar yet? This is, we're gonna see this a lot in religious themes and religious sort of stories, and that's the thing about the bucket. It's supposed to be a stress tool.
Crushed by but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
This is something that happens in Rick and Morty too. Something happens that has nothing to do with the divine, but people think it's the most logical explanation to connect it to the divine. For example, Stanley guesses, puts the correct code in, and the narrator is like, was it the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? So this is, again, starting to sound familiar. The bucket is sort of the god of this universe that the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe has added to the to the fray here.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
This is the most I've heard the bucket being mentioned as soothing, comforting, and this is important because in Islam, again, I'm the Islam master, Islam expert, So in Islam, I'm sure this exists in other religions as well, but specifically Islam mentions in the Holy Book that the name of Allah is soothes the heart. So this, that's so on the nose, with the bucket that it's basically seems like explicitly the writers are saying this bucket is supposed to be the god of this universe.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
And now, in a way, this escape ending with the bucket is sort of parallel to the other one. That one was more atheistic. So this one, you have the bucket with you. This means you were a believer all your life, and you listened to what other people told you, and you believed them, and you did what other people told you to do, not trying to express your will, while having the bucket with you.
At this point, to be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket. But what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere.
And this is, I mean, this is very, now that you think about it, if it has clicked for you yet, this is very on the nose. An old person who was religious all their life and now realizes I wasted so much time with the religious shit. And it was like meaningless after all that.
Farewell, Stanley.
The same thing happens here. There's a narration change. Again, we are dropped here and the thing doesn't crush us, but we come back here at the end of the escape ending, meaning that all of this in front of us, all the museum, all that stuff, happens in Stanley's head before he's about to die. Similar to how we think about all this stuff before we die. And that's why these endings are the most analytic and the most retrospective, I got the word, so you give it time. So this museum, as opposing to the previous one, which thought about life and everything, how you grew throughout life, is actually about the bucket. So
can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
So now the lingo changes into something like pretending that the bucket is so much superior than Stanley, than essentially humanity. The bucket is more important than humanity. And it's like, if you remember, it used to be a tool to reduce anxiety. And we gave it all that, spectacle, descending from the ceiling, all that stuff, just to make it more effective at curing anxiety. That's what it was useful for. But now we overdone it. And now it seems like the bucket, as you can see here, I mean, it says right here, well, we know that buckets predate the existence of mankind. So now, from being a tool to reduce anxiety, we didn't keep the bucket in check. Now we have forgotten what it was supposed to do. It was just supposed to be a tool. But now we feel like it existed before us. We made it, but now we say that it existed before us. It's so much grander than us. Sound familiar yet?
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
And now it happens. So a bucket went from a tool to now we have to kneel to the bucket. So, and all these writings make it seem like the bucket is such an amazing thing. And it's sort of theorizing that it's like, there's so many things in the museum, and all of it are just such jokes and seem crazy because this bucket is new. Stanley Parable didn't come out too long ago. But easily as this bucket is, trying to become holy, previous religions have tried the same thing. Just because they're more ancient, they hold more weight, and of course other reasons too. And now we go back
But there
to
is something we can do.
before dying.
Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world.
I mean, here we hear, I haven't thought about it this much, but maybe this is alluding to the elitism of some religious people being exclusive about their religion, like you're not worthy of the bucket or that kind of thing. Just keeping the religion to themselves so that other people can't, other people in a way aren't privileged enough to have the, religion. But essentially, this is like a parallel to the other escape ending. This time, the narrator is saying you should let it happen instead of pausing the game and, So the other narrator was encouraging you to commit the S word in a way to exert your will. This one, the religious one, is encouraging you to embrace death as a way of expressing your will. Similar to the freedom ending. So that's the way, that's what the game is trying to say. Religious people express their will, but by not expressing their will and embracing death, which is, we see it with Islam and the jihad thing. If you actually pause the game and reset, that means you have spent all your life being religious and reached the end, and now you commit the S word. It doesn't make much sense for this one, because you're trying to embrace what religion is telling you. So there are multiple other stuff that allude to the bucket having, like, being a religious type of thing. So
all of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a
one of the things I can't explain is the out of bounds endings with the bucket here, where the imagination goes crazy there. So I don't know about that. If you have any theories, you can tell me in the comments. But other examples of the bucket being inside Stanley's imagination is the what is a bucket, what isn't a bucket ending. And that is like a very good analogy for when you talk to religious people. And religious people see God in everything because there is no rhyme or reason to it. And in the what is a bucket, what isn't a bucket ending, you see that, for example, this one is a bucket, this one, two similar items. One of them is a bucket, one of them isn't a bucket. And at the end of that ending, the narrator deletes all buckets from the game and the game itself goes away. Because the entire game was a bucket. So that's the thing. That's why it's like literally that's God. That's how religious people talk about God. Religious, for example, poets see God in everything. Like that's one of the themes that they talk about a lot. So that's the point. There is no logic to religion. People just believe what they want to believe in terms of what is holy. And that's very important. That's the key theme in that ending.
Into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
So that's essential in the what is and what isn't the bucket ending. And here there's a hallway change, and I'm glad this happened because I may have forgotten to talk about it. You see how this hallway is a bit longer than usual? Remember what I said about the lifespan being from when you start the game in the office and when you reach an ending? Sometimes the hallways is longer, sometimes the hallway is shorter, meaning that different people experience different lengths of time before they get to make a decision. Some people grow slower, some people grow faster. So that's the thing. It's super interesting when you think about the game in this way. A lot of things click. So when we get to the broom closet is also an inanimate thing that the narrator speaks as. So in a way, pretending it's alive, part of Stanley's imagination, perhaps. And the broom closet says something about the bucket.
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy. It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I'd never.
And that's very important because, I mean, the bucket doesn't talk. It's an inanimate object that can't speak. Same goes for the broom closet, is not alive, you know. So all this stuff is happening inside the imagination of the protagonist. In a way, you can say that this sort of banter is something that could happen between two religions, because all religions are something that happens inside people's heads. And for example, Christians tell the Muslims, the cube is holy. If there was something else there, you guys would have also found it holy and important. And the same thing goes for Muslims calling out Christians. It's like, why a cross? Anything else, you want to pick up a pencil and say that's holy? So it's very funny that this, insults going between these two imaginary things is like a very good parallel for different religions saying that other religions are ridiculous for example, two religious people saying that, oh no, you're ridiculous for thinking this cross is holy. Anything that they would have placed there and make it enticing and that kind of thing, you would also consider that thing holy. And the same thing goes for the other.
Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together.
And this is exactly what's gonna happen. You tell that to a Christian person, and the Christian person is like, this cross, I was holding it in a car accident, I stayed alive. Exactly the same thing with the bucket now.
Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years.
I mean, religious people talk about this all the time, how their life has been changed by God. And Stanley is supposed to talk about how his life has been changed by the bucket.
Let him have it.
I think that's essentially it. Then it goes to putting the sticker.
Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket
I managed to
walk
cancel the
upstairs to
sticker
boss's
placement
office.
by pushing forward a bit. Let me think if there's anything else I want to say. And I think that's it. At the current moment, I can't seem to recall anything else that I wanted to say. But yeah, that's it essentially. When you get old, you feel like all of it was predetermined, you had no choice, you did what you had to, and like the path for you was already there before you were born. And I mean, that's a huge religious theme right there. But yeah, if you just think about Stanley Parable, the moment you start the game, you're born like as a child, and as soon as you can make decisions, that's when you're, for example, I don't know, when you reach teenage years, that's when you get to the two doors. So this line of the walking in Stanley Parable is like you aging, essentially. So if you think about it like that, a lot of things start to click. And I mean, there's a lot of things about it, about determinism, like choices in general, and expressing your will. And if you consider the bucket to be the god or the religious aspect of this game, a lot of things make sense and click again. So I think this works, but again, this is not definitive, and it could be just something else. I mean, the writer could come out and be like, no, that's not it, because this is a writer, they know what they wrote. But then again, there's also the interpretation that matters most, beauty in the eye of the beholder or whatever. And I'm glad I'm finishing this video here. It's like a staircase going up and down, meaning that forget about the destination, it's about the journey. And that's what these games do. This game, or for example, Rick and Morty, is like they don't tell you anything right or wrong. They just explore these ideas as like a thought experiment, as a way to practice your brain. So we're not gonna go up and down. We're just gonna be here in the process of climbing or going down the staircase. And yeah, thanks for watching. I mean, not now, because I feel like right now I have like 5 people that actually watch my videos. I'm talking about you guys, way in the distant future, thousands of years from now. You probably don't even speak English like I do, at least, and you're using a translator. But yeah, that's what the Stanley Parable was talking about. So yeah, make sure to subscribe for. I guess I'm dead at that point. So actually, maybe don't subscribe. I mean, it's besides the point. I could talk about so many things about this game. I'm sure you guys can figure it out though. Especially with the skipping. This is besides the point of the video, but I really want to talk about it. The skipping that happens in the memory zone, after the memory zone, and you skip to the end of time. That's also another huge commentary about, because players that skip things, it's like, well, if you're gonna skip this, why don't you just skip all of it? And I mean, that says a lot about society in general. Like, the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe did a lot more with society as a whole, while the original Stanley Parable was doing things with like individual life experience. So that's one of the things. It's like, oh, well, if we want to skip that part, why don't we just skip all of civilization, that everything we do, all the art that we do, all the stuff that we care about, like movies and all that stuff. Why don't we just skip all of it and just end it, you know? And that's another way of ending, you know, committing the S word in another. Well, if you're gonna skip this, why don't you skip this too, this too, this too? And it's like, you hear that a lot with, I mean, a lot of difficult tasks. People tell you to just do it, you know? Don't care about, just do it. But if you keep doing that, you're just gonna just live your life and you be done with it, you know? Get over it, you know? What's the word? Just, yeah, go through it and don't think about it, you know? That's the kind of thing. But I mean, essentially, I mean, the game does have a lot of choice and free will themes as well. And it also talks about how, I mean, again, all these choices are there in advance. And if you were meant to play the game and you were meant to go through one of these doors, did you ever have a choice? And if you were meant to subscribe, did you ever have... Okay, bye-bye.